Let's talk about arrays of objects. So far, we've looked at arrays of primitive data types, but there's a couple things that happen when we do arrays of objects. And let's use an object we've been using a lot so far in this class, strings, in order to illustrate how arrays of objects work. Let's go ahead and get into it. So arrays of strings. Let's recall a couple things. First, that arrays are objects. Arrays are objects, and objects are references. References. So when I have an array, when I declare, let's say, a string array, and maybe I want to, let's say, store the title of songs. Let's go ahead and call it songs. So I have my string array songs here. What I've done is I've created a reference called songs that points to an array in memory. And this array in memory has however many spaces I need to fill it with, right? Could be 5, could be 10,000. And because I've declared that it is of a string type, I've said that each one of these boxes, each one of these pieces of data will be its own reference to another string sitting in memory. So this is an array type, and this is a string here. So songs points to an array which has in that array its own set of references that point to other strings. And each one of these points to its own string somewhere else in memory. This gives us a tool that can store large amounts of data in a fairly small memory space, and also gives us the ability to access through songs. We can get access all the way to this string and manipulate that particular string individually through our entire array. Let's take a look at this. So let's go ahead and say that I have the array songs here, and I'm going to give a songs equals string or new string. Let's go ahead and move this whole thing down here. So this is going to equal new string array that holds 5 strings. Now remember, what is this going to fill with? These are all going to be nulls, null pointers. So these are all of our arrays are going to be filled with null so far. Now, when we want to put something into string, we can do it just as we did before, where we have our index and what we want to do. So let's say songs at index of 0. Could be, see, what's a popular song right now? I don't even know what popular songs right now are. I'll do one of my favorite ones from Wolfpack. It's a song called 1612. Okay, I know it's a number, but it's in quotes, so it's a string. Okay, so this is the song that I like, 1612 by Wolfpack. Now, this is now a new reference in here in our songs at 0, and now our 0th position is not pointing to null. Now, if I want to, I can access 1612, and I can also access the string. So when I do something like this, let's say I want to know what's at the first the first character of my particular string. Well, how would I do that, right? If I had a string, if I had a string h equals hello, right? To get the first character, I would say h dot substring of 0, 1. I would use the variable name, the dot, and the substring to get there. If we think about how this operates in an array, this array is getting us a string reference. That's what it's pulling back. It's pulling back and it's sending back to your current line of code a string reference. That's the same type of string reference as h. So this is a string reference. And this is a string reference. So both of these things are string references. So however we notate things this way, we can also notate with this. So if I wanted to know what the first digit or the first character of this string is, I could say, let's save it into a new string, string first character is songs at 0. And remember, this is a string reference, so now I can just put a dot like I would with h and say substring of 0, 1. Because I have this right here, because I'm using the brackets and an index, I'm now returning the reference within the reference. If I only had songs, that would be a reference to the array, and substring doesn't work on arrays. But by adding the brackets and the index number, I've now pulled out a reference to a different data type, in this case a string, and I can now manipulate this reference as though it were any other string. Just think of it as a fancy name. It's just a slightly different variable name that's got these brackets on it. All right, so that's how we get into and manipulate strings, or for that matter, any object type inside of an array. All right, I'll see you guys in the next lesson.